Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I want to start off today by saying, can I just be a little bit of a bitch for a second? Just a little bit of a bitch. I've been thinking so much when I'm driving or out in the world. I think to myself, gosh, that really bothers me. Or that is so annoying. Or that is a big pet peeve of mine. And I thought to myself, I'm going to start writing these down. I'm going to start writing down these peeves because someday I'm just going to have a rant. I'm just going to go on a rant about all the stuff that pisses me off. Just let myself be a little bit of a bitch for a second. Okay. So that's what we're doing. But I want to say, yes, today's episode is going to be a little bit of a rant, but I'm hoping to make it more of a constructive rant because we're all on our own journeys of self exploration and personal accountability and, you know, generally being an adult. And I believe there is a little bit of a thread through all of mine that I'm going to explore here live. Okay. I'm going to share some of my biggest pet peeves, and some of them aren't even pet. Some of them are just peeves, things that really peeve me. And not just to be a hater. Again, I think there is something deeper underneath each one. So it's not just about being annoyed. All right. But I do think these are going to be kind of funny. So let's talk about a few things. I'm going to be touching on lateness. I'm going to be touching on Seattle slander. I will be touching on communication, fake politeness, and also why I think your sneakers are super disrespectful if you're going to be at the theater. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. So let's start. Number one, people who tell me they are late after the start time. Oh my God. Why is this so hard? Honestly, I'm asking that as a real question. Why is this so hard? Yes. Do I understand that sometimes you look at your clock and you go, oh shit, I'm actually so late and you had no clue? Yes, of course. But most of the time, you just took a little longer than you should have to get ready. You didn't leave yourself enough time. You knew you were pushing it and it can be avoided. Now, let me tell you, I am not annoyed. I mean, it depends on how often this person is late. I'm not annoyed with people being late in general. It is when we agreed to meet at 10 o'clock and someone messages me at 10:07 telling me that they're not going to be there till 10:30. You see what I'm saying? You know, the reason this is so specific for me in my life is because I'm a real estate broker. Not only am I a real estate broker, I'm also a communication coach. So I meet with people not only in person, but also on Zoom. And the number of times that I have arrived at a house, I've gotten there a few minutes early, I have set it up, I've opened everything up, I've turned all the lights on, I've maybe turned on the heat, whatever is needed. And then I get a text from clients who are consistently, religiously late. And they message me, hey, we're actually not going to be there until, 15 minutes from now. And they're supposed to be there. They're already 5 minutes late. You know what I mean? So now we're looking at 20 minutes. Or I get messages from people, especially when we're meeting on Zoom, because for whatever reason, there seems to be a struggle about showing up full stop when things are virtual. And so I will have folks message me after our start time and say, oh, hey, like I actually had a meeting come up. I can't make it. What? Like these are all things that should have been communicated beforehand. And I know this because as somebody who was raised by, I love you, mom, someone who tends to be running on the late side, I also have a tendency to push it just a little. But I always message folks. I always, beforehand, I will message, hey, 10 minutes before the start time, I'm running 3 minutes behind. I'm running 5 minutes behind. Hey, I've hit an accident. My ETA has been moved to 10 minutes late. I'm so sorry. Now, do I apologize every time? No, because sometimes it is out of your control. Sometimes I will simply say, I'm running about 3 minutes behind. Thank you for waiting. I will be there shortly. But I always give people a heads up before the time that we were supposed to meet. To me, when people message after the time that we are supposed to have met, like I am already there. My latte is getting cold. I've prepped all of this material for us to go over, and now you're canceling last minute. I don't know. We have other showings that we have to get to, and so now we're going to be very late for those. There's a domino effect, right? It just the lack of foresight drives me nuts, and to me, it makes me feel like my time isn't valued. Full stop. It makes me feel like my time isn't valued. So I'll tie this in here. I'm going to move to my next one. The next one is people who bash the city they live in like it's a sport. To me, oh my God, if you don't like where you live, can you please make a change? Stop complaining about it and make a change. I find this to be very specific, at least for me. Maybe that's just because I live here. People love to hate on Seattle. It's like it's currently a trend on socials. People love, and maybe it's I know this because I'm a real estate agent here, but it's not just people who are from outside Seattle. It's people who live here, people who are from here who are like, it's disgusting here. It is so bad. This is the worst place I've ever lived. It's constant. And then people come from LA, they come from New York, they come from San Francisco. I have friends in my life who have moved from those bigger cities and they go, I don't know, it's nothing like XYZ city. No shit, Sherlock. It's not that city. It's its own city, right? So I find that wild. Not only is it people who bash Seattle, but I've also noticed people love to say, like, oh, Seattle is not a foodie city. There's no good food here, which is just inaccurate. The people who are saying there's no good food here are the people from cities that are 6 times our size and have a very different foodie style, right? And there are people recently, I was at a dinner not too long ago and sitting at a table full of Seattle people and someone who was more of a recent transplant. And that, let me remind you, you will rarely meet a Seattle local. I am from here, technically from outside the city, but I moved away for all of my adult years and came back as a full grown adult with a husband. So I got to experience kind of being a transplant, rebuilding my life, creating a whole new community of people who I'd never met before as an adult, same as other transplants. All right. So I'm sitting at this dinner full of Seattle people with someone who had more recently transplanted. Some people on that table were also Seattle transplants, but a bunch of us were locals. And this person says, yeah, I've actually been really struggling with this transition because honestly, Seattle people just aren't very nice. At a table full of people from Seattle who invited that person to dinner. I think that is crazy. You're going to go into an environment full of people from that environment and tell them that they suck. That's nutty. So of course, what it did to me, I'm sorry, but it made me immediately think to myself, well, it seems as if you've already made up your mind. I'm not going to do what I need to do to change your mind if you're going to come to this dinner. Anyways, it was crazy to me. And I really did have to temper myself because when people do that, I just go, well, if you hate it so much, why don't you just leave? You know what I mean? That's the unhealed version. So that's that. Number 3, when we're driving and people have the right of way, but they relinquish their right of way to let somebody else, to volunteer to let someone else in. Now, listen, I am not telling you like, hey, you wave someone in, like let them merge into your lane. I'm talking about when it could cause an accident. This is something that I was taught when I was first at driving school was that when you have the right of way, you need to take it because if you don't take it, you could cause an accident. Because what it does is that it confuses other people. It's not what other people are expecting. So it ends up actually being more dangerous while you're kind of trying to be quote unquote polite. All right. And I know this is in the name of politeness. There is something about it like, what? I'm just being nice. But to me, the rules are the rules. All right. So when you're driving all the way in the right lane, for my folks who are listening in Australia or London or wherever, I know you're on a different side of the road, but here in the States, we're driving on the right side of the road. If you're on the far right lane, it means that other people are merging into your lane. Okay. This is already, I feel like, a special skill that a lot of people have to learn is how to zipper merge. But I have been too many times in that far right lane and someone in front of me slams on their brakes to allow someone to merge in front of them, someone who is not speeding up, who is not catching traffic. And it causes a pileup behind them. Now, luckily, I've never been in an actual pileup, but the terror, the confusion, the miscommunication, it drives me nuts. Stop trying to be polite and just keep on driving, baby. Ugh. Now, I'm going to stay on the driving one for a second. Another one is when you have a left turn, when you're driving and you have a left turn, you have a left on green. So you are having to wait for oncoming traffic, a break in oncoming traffic so that you can turn. All right. You don't have a green arrow, you just have a green. And we have a specific intersection by us where when there's that left turn, people can also cross the crosswalk at the same time. And I watch people see that there is one opening in traffic for the person in front of me or whoever to make that left turn. And then they start moseying across the street. Oh, it just drives me nuts. It makes me so mad. You can see that there are 7 cars that are trying to make that left turn, and you are going to choose to cross right at that second instead of taking a hot sec and letting people make that turn. Oh my goodness, the lack of accountability just drives me up a wall. It just drives me up a wall. This is so fun. I hope you're enjoying me bitching away here. And this last one here, maybe this is my specific personality. It is also a symptom of living in a more casual society. Seattle does have its own fashion, if I do say so myself, but I would say this is across the board. This is not just Seattle. This is many other larger cities as well. Not all of them, but many. Is when people do not dress up to go to a nice restaurant or to the theater. And I am not talking wearing a ball gown. I'm just meaning please do not wear your sweatpants and your Crocs to a 5-star dinner. You know what I'm saying? Please do not wear your slippers and your like ratty leggings to the theater. To the theater? These people are putting on a whole show. They've been rehearsing for however long to present a beautiful piece of entertainment solely for your enjoyment, and you can't bother to brush your hair. I think that's wild. I think that's wild. Don't wear sneakers to the symphony. I'm not saying wear a tux, but oh my God, people roll up like they're going to Costco. I think that is wild. Just show a little respect to the people who are putting out all of this energy for you. Maybe this is an old-fashioned mindset. Maybe that is my retired performer coming out, is that I just like there's just so much mutual respect. And so when there's that person who comes and, dressed in their sweatpants, I'm just like, ugh, this is crazy. So as I start to notice the things that I get annoyed by, as I start to catch myself becoming irritated by all these small things, I start to not only note them down so that I can examine myself later, but I'm starting to notice a through line. I'm starting to notice a thread of what are the things that are irking me so much and why. And I think what I have found is that all of these have the theme is when folks lack or do not take personal accountability, or to be aware of other people or other souls in their orbit. So going back through all of these, people who tell me they're late after the start time, the accountability tie in here is being late. Again, being late happens. That not being able to get somewhere on time is not the problem, but not communicating ahead of time, that is avoidable. I think that people choose to avoid discomfort, and that is the same as avoiding ownership. And yes, it is uncomfortable to tell somebody that you messed up, but why let them learn that you messed up so they already know and then acknowledge it, right? Like that's not the way, right? We should be setting expectations that are accurate, taking personal accountability for the times that we mess up. And if you do that ahead of time, you keep the respect of the person who you've messed up to. Now again, it's not always something that you can achieve. It just doesn't happen like that. But for little things like this, so little, send me a text. It's just too easy. Respecting others' time is a reflection of how you handle commitment, right? Send the text. I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Good Lord. Number 2, the people who bash Seattle like it's a sport. For me, this is another accountability tie in. There's an accountability aspect here. Complaining without curiosity is lazy. There, I said it. Complaining without any curiosity about your ownership in the situation is lazy. You get what you put in. So the folks who are coming here and saying that it's impossible, with love, I am someone who also had to rebuild a community. I did not have friends here. I did not have people who I could go and hang out with. I'm living in a different city than where I grew up. Do I have family here? Yes. I have my mom and my dad and my family who live, an hour away, 45 minutes away. But those are not my friends. That is not necessarily my community. That's my family. So, coming from someone who did have to take that step, yes, it is hard. Yes, it is difficult to make friends as an adult, whatever, whatever. But like that is your job. And if you are unhappy with the area, with the place, with the situation that you are in, having some awareness and some accountability for your responsibility to change it or make a change or find ways to become more content with the situation. Again, I understand that this does not apply to every situation in the world, but this particular one, hating with a passion, a fiery passion, the city that you are choosing to live in, that's crazy, guys. That's crazy. Okay. Number 3, the driving. I do have a theory that the way you drive somehow correlates with the way that you communicate. And I haven't quite figured it out. I haven't figured it out yet, but someday I will, I don't know, write a thesis on it. I haven't decided yet. People who have the right of way, but they pause to let others go, to let someone else merge in, potentially creating a dangerous situation for a lot of other people. This is performative kindness. It's not the same as being responsible. Like, performative kindness is not the same as being responsible in this case. I think that there are rules, there are expectations, and there are reasons why we have these rules, and trust that others know those rules too. You have to take accountability for something on the road, something like driving where there's danger involved. I just think that personal accountability does mean that you do your part clearly, right? We're not like playing hero for the wave, the applause. In this case, it would be maybe a wave. It just that one drives me nuts. And then this other one, the left turn, when there's a left turn option for a car, and like as the person walking across the street, you choose to mosey across while looking at your phone. Come on, we all share space. Like, having awareness does equal taking some accountability, right? Your slow walk, it delays 10 cars, you're moseying or not paying attention or whatever. It's such a tiny choice. It's so small. I totally understand. That's why this is kind of a pet peeve, but it has a big ripple. It has a big ripple. And I'm not saying to rush. You don't have to rush, but recognize when others are depending on you, right? To move it along so that they can also benefit. Just have some accountability, take some accountability, have some awareness. And then lastly, the not dressing up for a nice restaurant or theater experience. For me, as I mentioned, people have put in so much time, energy, and effort into giving you an experience. And cleaning up, maybe not dressing up, maybe I should just say cleaning up. It shows mutual respect. It shows presence. It shows intention, right? It is, again, not about fashion, but it is about honoring the experience. I really feel like your vibe, having the wherewithal to, I don't know, zip it up a little bit, it affects the collective space. Just show up like it matters. Right? Again, these are my pet peeves. You might have some of your own where you're thinking to yourself, wow, what is the through line of all of my pet peeves? And Lord knows I have more of them, but I don't need to be doing that for an entire hours and hours. You only get, like, how long is this at this point? I don't know, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. There we go. 20 minutes of a couple of peeves. So, as I shut this down, this is going to be a quick episode for you. Your peeves are not just personality quirks. This is what I think. Your peeves are not just personality quirks. They are usually connected to something that you value. And the more that I've written down the things that irk me, that really get under my skin, to understand the root of where they're coming from, for me, that personal accountability is a big value of mine. Knowing that the people around me like take personal accountability for their lives and their actions is a big aspect for me. It's a big thing that I value in relationships and that I value in myself. And I think that when we are irritated by things, when there's something that just really, just it makes our blood boil for no apparent reason, I think it is an invitation to ask, all right, what matters to me? And am I upholding those same standards? Right? Because that's another thing. I think if you're sitting here being upset about the way that somebody else acts, you have to ask yourself, wait, 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 do I uphold the same standards? And we can't be hypocrites in here, right? We cannot be hypocrites. So I think it's a great invitation to have a little bit of self introspection. And then I think when we start holding ourselves accountable for our own social presence, our communication, or the clarity in which we act and communicate, it actually makes the world less annoying for everybody else, right? I really think it does. So I'm a little petty here. I'm being kind of a bitch, but luckily that is the name of this podcast. So I'm allowed to be. But I I am also I'm staying true to the values that I personally hold. And I don't know. I think it's just a curious thought to really look at the things that make us upset and ask ourselves why. Last note on this, something I'd heard at one point is when there are, and this is a little bit of an offshoot, when there is something that really bothers you in somebody else, whether that is a lack of accountability or I don't know, I will use lack of accountability. There is always a granule of that thing is something we are either afraid of seeing in ourselves or something that we feel we are not allowed to do. So, as an example, I feel like it is my responsibility to make sure that I let somebody cross the road, right? Or turn the corner, I should say, not cross the road, to turn the corner. If I can see that there is a small break in traffic and I have the opportunity to walk and block that person's small break in traffic to turn, I feel like it's my responsibility to let them go. Is that my people pleasing? Maybe. So when I see that someone without a care in the world decides to take that break in traffic to walk across the street with their phone, I think to myself, what? I would never. I'm not allowed to prioritize myself, right? So maybe that's also part of it. I don't know. I find this all very fascinating and I'm simply noodling on it. I'm simply noodling on it just here live on the air. Anyways, I think if all of us took a second look at the stuff that bothers us instead of just deciding that this is the right or the wrong way to do things, because Lord knows I don't think it is, but I do think it is a great opportunity for us to become clear on what our own values are. I think the world will be a little bit of a better place. That's just my personal opinion. So, my last thought here is what is your weirdest pet peeve or like large peeve? What are the things that annoy you on a daily basis? I am truly so curious. And if you dig a little deeper on those, what might it say about you? Are there any through lines? Are there any threads that you can keep track of across other pet peeves and things that annoy you? Anyways, if you have any thoughts, any stories you want to share, any disagreements or anything that you heard on this podcast that you're like, wow, that makes so much sense, I would love to hear from you. Please, as always, send me a DM. You can find the email for the podcast in the notes. And with that, wherever and whenever you are listening, thank you so much for being here. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.